a quick thought here about when most learning breaks down. Put a quick check mark there on where you think learning breaks down. Where does most learning break down? Put a check mark out on the one you think is the right one, or an X, whichever tool you've got handy. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. And this kind of happens every time I ask this question. I do this in face-to-face programs as well. And people tend to think either the first or second response, and you guys are pretty much paralleling that. And let me tell you, when it happens, okay, most learning starts breaking down the minute learners leave the session. And worse yet, the pace accelerates when they get back in the world. And why does that happen? Because they're faced by the tyranny of the urgent. They come back to a desktop, both virtual and physical, piled high with work and questions and emails and things like that. And then sometimes they end up going back and they're all excited about the ideas that they got, and they want really excited about implementing them. And their coworkers say, oh, no, she's been seminared, she'll get over it. And the sad thing is you do. So you can help your learners prepare for implementation and get more effective in nurturing this new knowledge that they have. People want engaging opportunities, and learning is a precious gift. We want to do everything we can to ensure that they can implement them. Yet some people may not even know how to implement what they've learned. As part of creating great webinars, you want to ensure that your participants know what they need to do to get maximum value. It might be doing pre-work, or it might be actively participating during the webinar, or maybe reflecting afterwards. In some way, you want to coach your learners, coach your participants on what they need to do to get that value and implement what they've learned. And that is typically allowing time for reflection and opportunities for seeing how they might apply what they've learned. And throughout the program, if you can ask different questions, getting people to think, okay, what does this mean to you? How are you going to go back and do something with this? During the session, you can have people reflect and help them reinforce their thinking about certain things that the content leader feels are going to be important. You want to spend time in the webinar covering some implementation strategies, kind of like I did, getting the audience to use shared notes, chat, Twitter, anything about what the tools that you're using to share their plans and ideas for implementation with each other. And in some platforms and with sufficient time in the webinar, we can't do it in just an hour, but you can actually pair people up in small groups. If your platform has breakout room capability, you can take a look at that. Some platforms do, others don't. You can also use something like Group Tweet, the tool that I mentioned earlier, which by creating a special room name or a Twitter account for a particular small group, 3 or 4 small groups, and then people can go to those small groups and talk about what you're doing, and then you bring them back together to debrief, much like you do a pair share in a face-to-face conversation. And you might want to consider asking speakers to be available for a threaded discussion, a chat, scheduled chat on Twitter, or just using the hashtag, or email questions for a defined period of time following the event. And I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be available for questions by email. I'm going to monitor the Twitter hashtag for at least the rest of the week. And if any questions pop up, I'm happy to answer them. Or feel free to email me as well.